I'm Josh, and this is Alter Ego Comics TV No Mark Edition. That's right, it is the time of year when the wild Mark must return to the place of his birth, presumably to mate or something. I'm not really clear. I didn't read the label in the pet store, but he will presumably be back next week. But until then, you will make do with me, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got some great comics, some new number ones this week. We've got a Wonder Woman review, and then some advice for graphic novels, where to go after watching Wonder Woman if you liked it, and some advice for where you can go if you didn't like it as well. First up for me, my pick of the week. It was really tough because there were several books I liked a lot, but my pick has got to be Batman 24. The title across the super title, the subtitle, the issue title. They were story arcs, and now we're down to like putting a different one on every issue practically. But this one is every epilogue is a prelude, and this is. It feels like a denouement, like a culmination of Tom King's run. In a very different way than the previous arc. I Am Bane sort of ended the manifesto about what it is to be Batman and the big epic fight with all the bad guys. And this is more of a character moment about what it means to be Batman. This is all of the little things that they've dropped in the King run that are kind of hint at the way Bruce feels and the kind of the steel inside him and who he really is. And this is sort of a culmination of that. We see kind of just for a perfect moment who Batman is. And it is glorious and awesome. We get some really great dialogue with him and Gotham Girl, largely about what she's going to do now that she's free of the Psycho Pirate's influence. And her family's all dead, and she has these superpowers that'll kill her if she uses them. So just really amazing. If you're a Batman fan, you do not want to miss this. I would not be surprised if the end of the book was already spoiled for you by the time you watch this, but just a awesome comic. I apologize for ever doubting you, Tom King. Your run on Batman is exceptionally great. He is going to be mentioned up there with Snyder and some of the other greatest Batman runs of all time. Really, really like that book. And the art by David Finch is good too. Probably. There's a Finch. We'll say it was David. The other book that ran neck and neck for my pick of the week this week was Wonder Woman Steve Trevor Special. And traditionally, one-shots that get thrown out around the release of a movie are not awesome. They're sort of cannon fodder. But this one really was. It's written by Tim Seeley, and we've got art by Christian Duce, possibly Christian Deuce. And we get a Steve story set in the present, more or less in the current comics continuity. And Steve and Diana are teaming up to beat some dumb people. I mean, in fact, they're ridiculously over the top. They're menists, not feminists. They're menists, and they're trying to keep the woman down. In case that metaphor was not specific enough for you. And it's great. Seeley's banter with Steve and Wonder Woman, his ability at dialogue overall, is really what makes this book shine. They only get a couple pages beginning together in the beginning and a prologue before Steve has to go off on a mission. He gets called off by some old friends whom, if you've seen the Wonder Woman movie, will look very familiar. It is his buddies from World War I that are obviously not from World War I anymore because the way time works and how old they would freaking be if they were in the present day. But so we get Amir and Charlie and Chief, and they are off on a mission. They are, in this version, operatives for Argus, and they hunt down odd and unusual phenomenon and get to it before the bad guys do and keep it from being used for nefarious purposes. And we get kind of a villain that's interesting, even though they don't get a lot of time. We get a plot device about sort of a fountain of youth type thing, and just several opportunities for people to say very cool esoteric things that are witty and awesome. And we end with Steve and Diana ending the framing sequence, and we get some kind of darker hints about Steve Trevor's, I don't want to say self-loathing, but the reasons he feels the weight of some of the things he's had to do to protect the world and to help the world. And yeah, so Seeley knocked it out of the park on the Steve Trevor special. Good job, Tim. You may recognize Tim from his run on Grayson and some other Nightwing books. And of course, Hack Slash, his creator-owned property, has been one of our favorite kind of horror comedy books at the shop for years. I kind of wish it was still coming out. Next up from Aftershock, we've got Baby Teeth #1, written by Donnie Cates, who's just been on fire lately between God Country and the vampire book where they eat people. I'm sure it'll come to me. Blood something about monkeys. Anyway, Donnie Cates has written several really great indie books just in the last year. And Baby Teeth is no exception. This is we talked about it a little bit in a previous episode. We read a preview issue of it. It's sort of Juno meets Rosemary's Baby. A young girl in high school is pregnant, and I don't know if the baby is demonic or if it's presaging the apocalypse or it's the Antichrist or what, but something goes down poorly with this baby. And it's told very well. We get a framing sequence kind of outside. The baby's already born, and she's recording a message to the baby on her cell phone, presumably because she either thinks she won't be around for it to give the message in person or just because it's a therapeutic thing. But it's a really neat plot device to have her talk to the camera and tell us what she's feeling, and also set up all the exposition in a way that's still emotionally relevant. And that is after the world has already kind of gone to pot, at least a little bit. It definitely looks like things are not great whenever she's recording this. But we get a flashback to just before the baby is born. We meet her sister, some of the guys that are high school that are douchebags to her, because high school guys are douchebags just in general. And then we start to see we go into the birth and meet her father, and it's just really, really good. The characterizations are strong. Nobody gets a lot of time. I mean, even the lead character, because she's moving the plot forward, and there's some really trippy stuff when she kind of starts to go into labor. We don't get a lot of time with her, but they're all, if not likable, relatable, understandable. You recognize the archetype. You recognize that people like this, and putting them in extraordinary situations is really great and resonant. And so Baby Teeth is for anybody who likes a little horror in their family drama, or maybe a little family drama in their horror. And just, it is a great week for comics. Comics are so awesome this week. Comics are awesome every week, but I had a stack of also-rans that I love every week. Amazing Spider-Man. Stuart Eminem can draw this until the day he dies, and I will not complain. Other Spider-Man, Adjectiveless Spider-Man by Brian Bendis. Also Jessica Jones by Brian Bendis. Unstoppable Wasp is, without a doubt, the book that puts the biggest smile on my face every week. Just a stack of awesome comics. And then we got two Numenor #1s from Numenor, the Line of Man. #1s from Marvel. We've got Iceman #1, written by Sina Grace, with art by Alessandro Vitti. And this is adult Bobby, traditional Bobby, not time-lost young Bobby. And the framing sequence is he's creating his first personal ad for a website, because he's starting to get out there. He's discovered that he's gay, or finally come to terms with it, and is getting ready to start dating. And so that's really funny. Bobby trying to put his life into words that kind of fit within the blocks of a dating profile is great. But we also get to see him run into his parents, who I don't ever remember interacting with meaningfully, at least not recently in the X-Men comics. And it turns out, even if you've saved the world multiple times, relationships with your parents are still challenging, and they still maybe don't like all of your life choices. But it's really good. I kind of expected very little from the book, and I was pleasantly surprised. And then the other big #1 from Marvel this week, arguably the biggest #1 from Marvel or from anyone this week, is Darth Vader #1, written by Charles Soule, art by Giuseppe Camuncoli. Two excellent creators. Charles Soule did the Poe Dameron book, and Letter 44, and a number of other awesome comics. Current Daredevil is also Charles Soule, which was new this week and also great. And Camuncoli's done a lot of great books. But this takes place almost immediately after the end of Revenge of the Sith. It actually opens with... I like that Charles Soule just addresses this, because he goes pretty much straight into the no that was universally lamented on the release of that film. It gives it a little bit of context that makes it slightly better, but he doesn't kind of oversell it. He doesn't apologize for it. He just hits it and moves on. And we get to see kind of one of the first conversations between Vader and the Emperor after he's turned, and we got to see the start of the darkness. And we see that maybe Vader has a few steps he needs to go through, some hoops to jump, before the Emperor is ready to accept him as a full ally and partner in their evil galactic domination scheme. And if you like to see Darth Vader go ape shit on people, this is your opportunity to see that. We also get a fun backup by Crip Epigalopoulos, the G-Man guy. But yeah, like I said, tons of awesome books. Those are the highlights. But I've got a store to open, so we're going to keep moving. And let's see if Mark's going to fire me for being... Oh, no, the store's not open yet. We're good. Wonder Woman review. Start off spoiler-free. It was amazing. It was great. It was everything I wanted it to be. I had no significant complaints, and I hate almost everything. You can go back and watch my reviews of previous movies to confirm that I hate almost everything. Leaps and bounds above what we saw in Batman and Superman Dawn of Justice. It was better than Suicide Squad. Mark posted a text review in Comics Are Awesome, our private Facebook group, link in the comments below. And he basically said that he liked it very much. He said it was good, not great, and he compared it. He said that it was not better than Dark Knight. Now, I didn't hear anybody saying it was better than Dark Knight, but I would also almost take exception to... I'm not going to argue and say it was better than Dark Knight, but I'm not going to say it was worse than Dark Knight. Dark Knight is a little on the overrated side. Dark Knight is an incredibly flawed movie, elevated by exceptionally awesome performances. Nearly everybody in that movie is amazing. Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, Heath Ledger's Joker, and obviously when you've got Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman as like the supporting players, your cast is awesome. The worst person in that movie is Bale, and while there are epic, awesome, amazing moments in Dark Knight, and I love the movie, it's not the end-all, be-all of superhero cinema that some people make it out to be. So while I would agree with Mark, that it's not better than Dark Knight, it's close enough for my purposes. So that's the spoiler-free part. If you're going to go see it, you should go see it. You can skip ahead to the end. Or jump ahead. Come back after you've watched it, and then you can find my suggestions for where to go next. Spoiler review. I'm not going to get super spoilery because there's not a lot of nitpicking I need to do. The ending battle scene. First of all, the reveal of the ultimate bad guy was a little belabored, but I guess we kind of knew Ares was going to be the bad guy, and he had to be one of the characters, so whatever. But the ending battle scene was long. I would have been happy if it had been a third the length it was. The whole movie was about people and engagement, and I don't think it needed a big epic confrontation at the end of the movie, but we got one, and I think it was maybe to the film's detriment. That was my only real complaint about the way the movie worked. The performances were amazing. Chris Pine's Steve Trevor is the perfect amount of relatable, obviously masculine period man, and also someone that's digestible to a modern audience. He's a great foil for Diana, especially in this form that we get. Gal Gadot is amazing. I like the choice to set this in the past, long before Superman Batman, so we get sort of a fish out of water Diana. She's sort of learning about the world of man. It's a great opportunity for Steve and Diana to interact in a way that's not inherently flirting, but it kind of is. Like the sexual tension in the movie is perfect. They don't over-acknowledge it, they don't under-acknowledge it, it's just spot on. I love Steve's little cadre of sidekick characters that and they did a great job of commenting on the world and the differences between the traditional worldview and the view of Diana. Just awesome. I have very little bad to say about Wonder Woman. So I guess I'll just move on to what I have to say about comics that are good. If you watch the Wonder Woman movie, you've never read anything Wonder Woman, the first place I would probably send you is Wonder Woman Year 1. This is going to be weird. It's Volume 2 of the current Rebirth series. It's written by Greg Rucka, art by Nicola Scott. It is easily the most beautiful Wonder Woman book you will ever read. Scott's art is amazing, but this starts at the beginning and tells the origin, and it is the most modern interpretation. It is probably the best interpretation, maybe, but it is definitely the one where if you want to see that, that's where you go. If you liked the Wonder Woman movie, but you don't want to watch the origin again, you should go to Wonder Woman Volume 1 Rebirth. Also Rucka, different artist this time. We've got Liam Sharp, who is very good. And this is a current day story about Diana kind of discovering who she is. Just like in the movie, she was revealed to be the daughter of Zeus. She is the daughter of Zeus in the comics. And she's kind of coming to terms with her past and the lies that were told to her. The story is actually called Volume 1, The Lies. So both amazing Wonder Woman stories by Greg Rucka. If you want something kind of tonally different but still incredibly great, Wonder Woman from the New 52, Volume 1 is Blood. It's written by Brian Azzarello, who has a great history from 100 Bullets to other crime books, and Joker and Luther. And art by Cliff Chang, who is a different style of artist than the others. It's a little more impressionist, a little more artsy, but it is really great. And this is 100% Diana dealing with her patronage, her father becoming, is it her patronage? Her parentage, with Zeus being revealed as her father, meeting the other gods and interactions and power struggles. Really epic, very keyed into the mythic elements of Wonder Woman, and super great. And my last recommendation actually isn't a Wonder Woman book at all. If you watched those crazy words that fly across the screen after the movie, or even before the movie in this case, you would have seen Alan Heinberg's name came up. He was the primary screenwriter on the movie. He got the actual script credit. And Heinberg is a screenwriter, but he's dabbled in comics in the past, and his dabblings are amazing. So if you liked Wonder Woman, you like that story, you like the storytelling elements, you want to check out, in my opinion, Heinberg's best comics work, which is Young Avengers. It was originally collected in 2 volumes. Now it's collected in one oversized, awesome one. And then there's a follow-up volume, so either the 3rd volume or 2nd volume, called Children's Crusade. That might just be called Avengers Children's Crusade, but trust me, it's totally a sequel, still written by Heinberg. And it is amazing. It's a story of a world without Avengers and young people rising up to fill the void and take care of the world and be Avengers. And it is every bit as awesome as his work in Wonder Woman. And I think if you liked Wonder Woman, you would like it. So that's what I have to say. Comics are awesome. Go team. Wonder Woman was awesome. Everything is awesome. I'll just keep telling myself that. Everything's awesome. It'll be fine. The world's not going to pot. It'll be cool, guys. So if you like this, thumbs up. Subscribe so you don't miss a video. And in the comments below, we've got information about our comic pull and hold service, our online store to buy graphic novels, and the aforementioned Comics Are Awesome Facebook group where we carry on the conversation. Great community building there, talking about comics, giving great recommendations and opinions. And it's always important to have as many viewpoints and opinions as you can. It helps us inform our view of the world and decide what's worth our time. So yeah, go out, go forth, be wonderful.